One of the trends we're seeing in the market right now is people are out trying to buy a house without an agent. And so I had a recommendation from a friend and a client who said, "Hey, why don't you do a video on why or how people can buy houses on their own and without an agent?" So that seems weird, right? Because that's what we do. We help people buy and sell houses here in Middle Tennessee, but we're going to give it a shot. We're going to try to give it a fair read down the middle and tell you the things, some tips and some tricks. Let's see what we get into. It's going to be a good video. We're glad you're here this week. Thanks for joining us. We're excited to talk about this topic. And we're seeing it a lot in the market about people wanting to go through and what is the value of their agent and how can I buy a house without an agent? So we're going to jump into it. We're going to give you 5 key tips that you need to consider when you're thinking about buying a house by yourself or without an agent, and some things to prepare for, some things to read up on, because you won't have representation as you get into it. Number 1, do you need an agent in order to find the house that you want to buy? And you know what? The answer right now is no. Being able to find, the world has changed. The old days of going to an agent's office and an agent on duty and going in and, going through the big, thick microfiche and heavy newsprint books are long gone. They've been gone for the balance of my 25-year career. And beyond that, there's just an enormous amount of information out there. We're in the information era, right? You're here. I'm here. We're in this platform talking about the information era. And yet lots of people haven't realized how the process has evolved. So you can use several different platforms out there on the internet to search for the home that you're looking for. So you can use Zillow or Trulia or Redfin. But the thing that people don't often know is they realize that there's places to go to find that, but they don't realize a lot of the pitfalls and things that they may be doing that may have unintended consequences. And that's why we're here to talk about that. So you have lots and lots of choices. But first things first, I would recommend, depending on your local market, you want to find the raw data. You don't want to work through a platform because there's lots of pitfalls and mistakes that can happen that, again, can have unintended consequences. However, if you find your local consumer side MLS and the raw data, that is a powerful way to search. You can often go through and have your own search set up where it'll email you directly, but you can also go through and have the actual original data without it being manipulated or put into different platforms with different clickbait and things like that that will enter you into understanding agencies that you may or may not understand. So to work to find the raw data and the hyper local MLS. That's the first thing you want to do. And then you could start doing some searching. Again, every market is hyper local. Every market has its own unique customs. So you're going to want to know that. If it's been more than 3 or 4 years since you have done some transactions, you want to go through and talk to some professionals who've been in the market so you know some of those hyper local customs, because there are lots of different things that just don't translate from market to market. And that's going to only make your process more complicated, stressful, and keep you from getting your goal of getting a great deal. The next option is calling the listing agent direct. Now, you want to be really intentional about how you're going through this, and don't use the numbers in Zillow or Redfin or Trulia. Find the property, find the listing agent, go and open a different window and search them and look for their individual website that has their contact information or has the contact me information. That way you can assure that you're getting directly to them. And you want to plan this conversation differently. I end up getting a call or two like this a week, and people are just really casual about it. And it's much better to be prepared. So the calls I typically get as a high-end listing agent are, "Hey, my name's Katie. I'm going to be in town this week. Can I see your listing on 123 Smith Street at 10 o'clock? That's a stone cold stranger to me. I don't know them at all. They may or may not be qualified. They may or may not be represented. We don't have any idea. They may be coming to sell me some crypto or something like that. I just don't know. And so we are really intentional. It sets me up where I got to go, okay, I got to ask some questions here. Well, if you're hard set on doing this on your own, you can do that in a different way. And you could call me like, "Hey, how you doing? My name's Katie. I'm moving from Los Angeles, and I wanted to let you know I'm going to be representing myself or be unrepresented in order to get the best deal possible. I am pre-approved, or I have my proof of funds. I'm going to be in town, and I'd like to see your listing 123 Smith Street at 10 o'clock if that's convenient for you, and I'd like it to be a private showing." That sets the tone differently. That's a wow. That is oh my gosh, this is a professional, prepared, experienced person that I want to work with, as opposed to the other is like, "Who are you?" We got to start over. Who are you? Help me, help you. Right. And so when you go the other way, set that up, make sure you get to them. But the most important part that we started this with is get to the listing agent and their stuff in a separate window, not on the platforms, because if you do that, number one, you may end up getting connected with an agent that you didn't pick that may or may not be qualified to help you with the property that you're actually specifically looking for. And you may owe them a commission, even though you didn't ever choose to do them and that wasn't the goal. If they show you the house, there may be a commission and some revenue involved going to that agent. So make sure if you're going to be unrepresented that you get to the listing agent and you get there in a quality and direct way so you don't end up with some extra expense, because that's the deal. You're trying to get a great deal. Okay, next is agent compensation. And all the time when we hear people talking about, I'm not going to work with a realtor, I'm going to save all that money. And that may very well be. We get it. There are a lot of realtors. Everybody I talk to, look, how many realtors do you know? And it's usually somewhere between 6 and 10. I'm like, well, how many of those actually do a transaction every single month? And that number drops pretty quick. And so I understand why there can be frustration, but not all realtors are created equal. Not all of them have the same results, and not all of them have the exact same skill set to help you work through and reach your goals. So you want to be mindful as you're going through this process of thinking, hey, I don't have an agent. I'm doing this all on my own, but you got to be careful because you may run into some assumptions that you're getting commissions that were never, ever available to you. So let's talk about that. You want to save that money. And especially in the higher end where we end up spending a lot of our time and working in that price category, it can be a lot of money. It can be 6 figures sometimes. And yet you want to go through and make sure that you're making the right approach and you're asking. So when you make that first call and you call the listing agent to set up your private showing, you want to say, hey, it's my intention to be unrepresented. What does your commission structure look like? And they do have to work with you to show you, but they may or may not share their contracted information that they have with the seller. So for example, in our company, we have an agreement that if we work with an unrepresented buyer, we have a different compensation plan than we would if the buyer has a buyer's agent. So it can still be a win-win-win for everybody. But expect that if you are unrepresented, that listing agent has probably negotiated for a buyer's agent compensation, and they're going to do the best they can to do either what you can call double siding or double end or something of that nature, where they're going to end up keeping that additional compensation that they've already negotiated for. It's already in a written agreement, and that's not going to come back to the table unless you start talking about that. Now, there's going to be timing and nuances around when the appropriate time to do that is, and we could talk further about that if you want some strategy and conversation. But if you do it stone cold, first of all, in this day and age, most people are texting. Doing that and texting with your compensation structure to someone that you don't know that maybe has not even seen the house is probably not going to go well. And they're probably not going to open up to you about what that looks like. And if they do and they go straight to it, then they may or may not have your actual best interests at heart. And so you want to be open as you can about your process. Share them what you're intending to do and what does that look like. Do you have different compensation based on if I have an agent or not? Now, this is a key point because if they say, yeah, there's a buyer's agent fee, and if we don't, the listing agent keeps it or it goes back to the seller. Well, this is a situation that it would be very advantageous for you to gain the service and the knowledge and experience and tactics from an experienced agent in that market. And you just go pick that one person. Don't just pick your brother, uncle, sister, mother, cousin that just got their license. Pick someone with experience, with knowledge of the market, with influence in the market that can ultimately help you continue on the path to get that great deal, which is the whole point anyway. So if you know and the listing agent says no, you might as well get the value in a different way. Like make a pivot, right? Be flexible in this process and find out where your next opportunity is. So again, when you're setting up that first appointment, you want to make sure you ask the listing agent, how does the compensation agreement work? Because again, since August of 2024, you can't go by yourself. You have to wait for a public open house, and you might want to find out what happens if an unrepresented buyer shows up, because again, it may go just straight to the seller's bottom line and make them more money, or to the listing agent. So make sure you check on that. Okay, next is the contracts and addendums. Now, who's going to be responsible for that? Now, in a lot of different states and a lot of different counties across the United States, there's lots of different hyper local nuances and customs. And so depending on where you're working and where your next property is, you want to be mindful of what that looks like. Sometimes seller pays title, sometimes the buyer pays title, sometimes there's different variables on the amount of buyer compensation. In certain markets, it's a full 3%. Sometimes it's more when it's a heavy seller's market. They're doing that as an inducement to get people into their property. And sometimes it's less. Sometimes it can be 2.5%, 2%. It varies all over. And commission has always been variable and has always been negotiable. It was before, it is now, and it always will be. But you just got to define the value before the work starts and make sure things get squared away. So when you're talking about contracts and addendums, you may need to engage a real estate attorney. You may need to engage a title company and a lender. What you don't want to do is you don't want to assume that everyone in the process is just working together to help make sure that there's going to be a great deal. You want to inspect that. You want to find out, hey, is this cool that we're unrepresented? Are you going to help us with the paperwork or not? Or what do I need to get my own independent counsel? And again, we're working to get a good deal, right? We're working to save a good deal. And if you have to engage a real estate attorney and put a $5,000 or $10,000 retainer down, depending on the price category, that may be half of the buyer's agent commission or half of the yield that you're working to get a great deal by saving those commissions. So you want to find what your opportunities are and what some of those local tools are. Now, you may also not have access to the forms that are most commonly used. Now you'll find that listing agents will have offer instructions, and they may want you to use a specific form. And if you're not a licensed agent in that state, you may not have access to those forms, and you may need to find another way to get to those specific forms. They may have made an agreement with their client that it's going to be in a specific form in a specific way, because we all have our own systems and procedures, but you want to find out what that is and where they are, and do you have access to those forms. But don't assume that the listing agent is going to be working in your best interest, because they're not. You're unrepresented, and they will allow you to do effectively whatever you can agree to. And that may be a surprise to you. If you agree to something and all the parties are agreed, no matter how strange it might be, then that's okay. The parties have agreed, and they've documented it, and they've aligned with it, and they've put it in a legal form. So make sure you get up to speed on the contracts, and then not forgetting the addendums, because you're going to have lots of different things that are going to come up around the various addendums, whether it's a new construction property or even a resale. You need to have some guidance on how to read those and what those disclosures and addendums mean to the additional contract. So if we're meeting for the first time, hi, I'm glad you're here. My name is Alex, and I'm your friend in real estate in Nashville. I love bringing great content like this that we're experiencing and sharing in the market real time, just like this. And I hope you're getting great value in our videos. If you found some value, please do help us smash that subscribe button and help us stay in business. We would love your help meeting our next client for their next move or here in Middle Tennessee. And whether that's selling or buying here in Middle Tennessee, that's what we do. And we would love to help connect to the person that needs to buy or sell in the next 12 months. We'd love to start now, get connected with them, and be in relationship with them and help them start to get ready. As this process, it is a longer tail sales cycle. We'd love to start building real relationship and helping them with their goals as they get through it. I hope you're finding great value in what we're sharing today. And if you have, please do share it with somebody and subscribe, because it helps us meet other great people just like you. And if you found real value, go ahead and drop us a comment, because that helps us out in the networks as well. But let's get back to it. We've got a couple more things before we close. Our fifth thing to share is the timelines. What are the timelines? We spent time this week coaching with one of our partners about what the common timelines are on various parts of the contract. Now, this can be very, very important. You may be in a competitive market, and you may not knowing timelines could drastically affect the presentation of your offer on a property. And so finding out the normal closing timelines, inspection timelines, resolution timelines, and even repair timelines are absolutely critical to getting and solidifying that great deal and documenting that great deal that you're after. So make sure that you do some research there, check into that. You may have a title company that'll be able to help, or a lender or an attorney throughout the process, but you want to make sure you know what those customary timelines are in your specific hyper-local market, because it can have big impact on the dollars that you pay for the property and the dollars that you spend in the transaction. So there you have it. Those are 5 of our key tips to consider when you're looking to buy a house without a realtor. Now, which one was your favorite? Which thing did we share that gave you great value? Let us know in the comments below. It really helps us out, helps us continue to share and grow this channel. But what's the benefit? right? Everyone is after a great deal. Let's be honest. And if you're working with an agent that's not going to get you the deal that you need to stop working with them, and you need to get into business with the agent that is going to help you get a great deal. And all of these pitfalls that we've talked about, these 5 different tactics today, could easily set you up and cost you as much or more than you may be saving, depending on the size and the price range of your transaction. So certainly doing this for a living, this is what we recommend, that we think we add more value to the process and save our clients more money with our knowledge, experience, and influence in a hyper-local market. And so that's what you may need, or you may not have seen or experienced in your hyper-local market. If you need that introduction, it's kind of weird to do it in this video, but I'll share it, that, hey, if you want to meet one of our friends in our network across the country that can and will give you great value, even more than the commissions that they're going to be earning, then we'd be happy to make that introduction. But hopefully you're looking or knowing someone that needs to look here in Middle Tennessee, and we can show you some of that value. If that's true, we have a link right here where you can actually go through and get connected to schedule that initial meeting with us, and we can get started on your goals. Whether you need us 6 days or 6 months from now, we're happy to get connected now and start building our relationship, so we know we are there in the future and we're there when the time is right. Because you got to be in the market in order to get that great deal. That great deal does not happen when you're sitting on the sidelines. We hope you found great value in this video this week, and we would love to hear from you. So let us know in the comments below. Please do share this with the person that you know that's ready for that next move in the next 12 months, wherever they may be in the world. We'd love to help get them connected to one of our partners across the world. And until we connect again, my name is Alex, and I'm your friend in real estate in Nashville. Keep on keeping on.